Hello ladies, welcome to our first guilt-free video. I'm just going to be honest with you. I am sitting here where it all started 10 years ago in my living room, dining room, okay. And anyway, I think I've been balking over the last month or so about even creating a video. And thanks to Gail Williams, who has been pushing and pushing and pushing me, I am not in my pajamas at this time, which normally I am, or I'm at the gym. But I want to share with you just some nuggets, and so thank you for being patient, suffering long. I know I've promised videos for those of you who have not been able to make it to the studies. I promised them for a long time, and I really want to challenge my own self to be a person of my word. So last night, before my son went to bed, he did set up the YouTube account. So tonight, before he goes to bed, I'm going to ask him if he will post this for me. So with that in mind, good evening, great to be with you. It's kind of awkward because I'm used to talking to people on a regular basis, on a daily basis. I teach anywhere from 80 to 100 boys a day. So I'm used to looking at people and not into a camera. So anyway, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm not a camera socialite. Well, I know you see me on Facebook and I have all my selfies and ussies, but as far as teaching, I really am more, I guess I'm used to talking to people. Anyway, I'm going to pretend that you're here with me, okay? So hello to all of you, and let's just go ahead and take a look at our current chapter, which is, we're on week 2, and the sections that I need to review today, as promised, are week 2, days 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for the most part, I'm reviewing the whole chapter. And the struggle for me is I really want to reteach all of the good things that happened in our study when we were together at Panera. But I know I can't do that. So my prayer this evening is that I would just touch on the highlights. And the title of this particular day 1 is Dry and Dusty Wilderness. And the backdrop of this whole story is about the desert trek of the children of Israel. And so with that being said, some of the nuggets that were shared, and you have to forgive me, I'm looking away at my book because it's, I'm trying to figure out how do I teach in front of a camera or phone, so to speak. Anyway, I'll figure it out, right? And if not, it's just between us. These videos are going to be private. I pray that they stay private because it's just something that I would love to do for you and for you only. And one of the biggest things, let me read, or should I even do that? Let me read you this. It says in Exodus 13, 17, and 18, it reads, "Now when Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, even though it was near. For God said the people might change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. Hence, God led the people around by the way of the wilderness to the Red Sea, and the sons of Israel went up in martial array from the land of Egypt." And that's Exodus 13, 17, and 18. And the big focus of this whole chapter was, when we think about wilderness, very often we have the mindset that the wilderness was kind of a bad place, so to speak. And remember that we've heard from Christian ministers forever and ever that this journey was only supposed to take them 11 days, and it ended up being a 40-year trek. And in the study session when we were together, one of the things that we surmised that really all the things that God taught them in the wilderness, he really couldn't have done that in 11 days because they really did have to learn and trust and get to know him. It says in the scriptures that he was a fire by day for them and a cloud by night. And that meant that he was always with them. And I know that they weren't focused on that. They were not focused on the provision, that their clothes never wore out, They were not focused on their protection and how he kept them. I mean, his ultimate goal was to cause them to be dependent upon him, not to look back and remember the leeks and onions that they had in Egypt, but because those leeks and those onions cost them a price. They had to toil and they were beaten. But when they were taken from that environment, they desired to go back into bondage for what they had. And to be honest, the children of Israel are not that different from us. Very often we desire to go back into what we call the good old days or to relive things that we've had before. But in all honesty, we really don't want to go back there. We just want to enjoy some of the freedoms or some of the benefits that we had. But honestly, our current place of growth is where most of us typically want to reside. And so the children of Israel were not focused on what God was wanting to do for them. And it says that he took them the long route this 40 years so that they wouldn't be afraid and go back. He was concerned about them all along. He was not trying to punish them. And in your current situation, I want you to understand, God is not trying to punish you. He's only trying to get you to love him, to rely on him, and to see a bigger vision for what he has birthed you into this earth for. So with that in mind, the children of Israel, they were led by him by day and night. And then they were also given manna. And we know that manna means, what is this? And as it was explained in the scriptures, manna didn't seem like it was so bad. Now, I didn't eat it and I haven't tasted it, but its description talked about it being sweet and talked about it being wafer-like. So, to me, it seemed like it was something that he wanted to make tasty for them. It wasn't a leek or an onion, but it was a food that they were provided from him where they didn't have to toil for. And it was something that was sustaining. Matter of fact, it was something that they couldn't store up. It was something that they had to consume because his ultimate goal, again, was to teach them an interdependence on him. And so we talked a little bit about that. Let's see what else we talked about. We shared a lot of personal things, of course. And day 2 talks about passion and purpose. Talking about the temptation to look back, as we all do. We all look back over our lives and sometimes desire to be somewhere where God really doesn't want us to be. And let's see, there's some stories that are shared there. And, they were wondering, why they were in the desert and why it was taking 40 years, just like I personally have wondered my own life, why it has taken so long to do what it is that I feel like he wants me to do. But in all of that, I see all of the opportunities for promotion. I see the times that it was difficult. Really, it kind of put some strength in my soul, in my spirit. And at this present date, things that people say and do don't bother me because I ultimately already know. I've been there and I've done that. And I know that doesn't work. And I know what is most important right now is that I follow God and follow this destiny plan all the way through. So anyway, he goes on and talks about how they question him. The children of Israel question Jesus, or question God, just like we question him when things don't turn out in our lives the way we want them to. And, very often it's a very good thing that it doesn't turn out the way we want it to. Okay. What kept sticking out to me was purpose. God just has a definite purpose for our lives. He had a purpose for the children of Israel. They were not aware of it, but he had a purpose all along. And I'm going to read you another scripture. Or maybe, no, I won't. I'm sorry. I won't read you another scripture because that's kind of a rehash. Let's move on into day 3. Day 3 has to do with the $500 story. And this is a really neat story that Priscilla Schreier shares about her mother and her dad and how he made a very specific request to God. And God answered that request for her mom and for her dad. And that... she mentions that it was a sign of God's hand on their lives during the wilderness experience, meaning they were in Bible school, they didn't have a lot of money, but they asked God for $500 and he met them. And so God had provision for her family, and she makes a correlation between that experience and the provision that he made for the children of Israel, and and the provision that he makes for us. Whether we're in a good season, a bad season, a good place, a bad place, God always provides. He always has someone there that will minister truth and peace to us. He's so faithful. And I think if you consider yourself on a wilderness journey, and as I consider all of us, desert babies, we are. God's ultimate goal is to have us to be more dependent upon Him than anything that our present circumstances can bring us. He wants to be the very entity that lightens up our day, that causes us to be thankful in the mornings and to love Him and have thankfulness toward Him in the evening. Ultimately, He wants us to want Him. Who wants to be in a love relationship where it's one-sided? I've been there when I was dating, and it's no fun. But it's more enjoyable when you're with the person that you love and they love you back. And He loves you. He loves all of us. He gave His very Son, His only begotten Son, that for us, and sometimes I think we forget about that sometimes, that He is a good Father that knows how to give good gifts. And just like we watch our own natural children go through circumstances and situations that we would not want them to go through, but we know that they have to grow. And let me give you an example in particular. My son just got back from Dubai in the Middle East, and he has had an incredible workload prior to going overseas and getting back. Well, because I'm in the school system, I really understand the policies a little bit better than he does. And so he was rushing to get this work finished. The teacher was telling him he had to get it finished. And in all reality, I knew the policies. And the first thing I wanted to do was go ahead and send this teacher an email. I really wanted to explain to him that, my son has the amount of days he's been absent plus one. So anyway, I thought about doing that yesterday. And so I went into, I don't know, it was a speedway or whatever.